Hey, Forward Madison friends. I'm Conor Caloia, Chief Operating Officer, and one of the owners of Forward Madison. We're trying to get our live stream going here, but excited to spend a few minutes with you tonight, and talk a little bit about an update on the club, kind of where we are as it relates to 2021, and answer some of your questions. So I appreciate everybody that's taking time this evening to join us. I'm going to start by just some brief comments or some comments as far as kind of our outlook on 2021. And, I think this is going to be the first of a few of these conversations. As much as I would love to paint an extremely clear picture as to what's happening in 2021, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. And while 2021 brings hope in a new year, it also brings continued uncertainty. And so we're going to do our best to answer your questions, communicate with you tonight. But please know that this will be the first of several of these chats that we have as we learn more information as to what happens with the club for 2021. So before I look forward to 2021 or talk about 2021, I do think it's important to share a few comments on 2020. I think first and foremost, way into the future, when I look back at 2020, I think the thing that I'm going to remember the most is how great our fans were, how great our season ticket holders were, our corporate partners were, how generous and how loyal they were to the club. If it wasn't for you, wasn't for our season ticket holders and our corporate partners, we wouldn't be able to keep going on as we are today. And the fact that you purchased tickets, purchased merchandise, purchased corporate partnerships, and stuck with the club during a pandemic is what has sustained us. It's what has gotten us through, and it's what's going to allow us to kind of get through this and get back on the other end. So I think that's my first comment when I think back to 2020. I also think about our great staff and our players that adapted. We weren't allowed to play here in Madison as much as we wanted to. We're the only, I think, pro soccer market in the United States of America out of 70 that's not allowed to play soccer, that wasn't allowed to play soccer last year and still isn't allowed. And so, I'll think back to our staff and our players who drove to the Dells every day, who played their home matches 90 minutes away in Wauwatosa. So I'll always remember that. I also remember too, and without getting too deep into it right now, but 2020 was the year that this club found our voice as it relates to social issues. We hadn't been very political, I guess, for lack of a better term, in the early goings of this club. And with our players, with our supporters, and with our front office, I think we found our voice, and we found a way to speak out and address social injustice and social issues. I think there's always more we can do, but in 2020, we did find our voice. And then I think the last thing that I want to reflect on for 2020 is in the midst of this pandemic and all these challenges that we had, with you, our fans, we were able to raise over $40,000 for local charities. And, it was a challenging year for everyone, challenging year for many people financially, and it's pretty awesome to come together as a community. And whether it was the River Food Pantry or the YWCA, or the meals that we provided for frontline workers at the hospitals during the early COVID outbreak, just really impressive to see everybody come together and raise a large sum of money in the middle of a pandemic. So just continued thanks to our amazing fans, supporters, corporate partners for what you do for this club and what you've done for this club and what you've made this club. So thank you for that. As we look to 2021, I'm just going to kind of run through a few bullet points here. First, and these are going to answer some of the questions that have been asked as well. But as it relates to the USL League One schedule, we don't have any finality on that. We don't have a set date. But I'll tell you what I know. As of now, it looks like late April is when we plan to start, mid to late April, I should say. We do have a Board of Governors meeting next week, and I think we'll learn more then as far as finality is concerned. But the plan is a mid to late April right now is what things feel like. I know there's been, I think one gentleman says that there's some they've heard that the championship is looking, USL championship's looking at May, and I've seen that reported as well. But all I can tell you about is right now, if I had to guess, I would say we're in that mid to late April timeframe. What that means for our players, it means our players, as of now, would report March 11th. Now, I think it's important that we all know that this is all subject to change based on what happens with the pandemic, and if for different restrictions or challenges in our market or beyond, could potentially push that back. But that is kind of what I know. We're getting a lot of roster questions, and rightfully so. And I think you'll see a flurry of roster news. It started today with the re-signing of Giro, which we're very excited to have back for a third season here at Forward Madison. But I think you'll see a flurry of announcements over the next 2 weeks as far as returning players and even some new players joining us. Here's where our roster sits right now. We expect 8 to 9 players that are Forward Madison players to return from 2020 to our 2021 roster. We expect to have at least 3 players from the Chicago Fire once again. And then we expect to announce in the near future 2 new additions to the club, both attacking players. So if you kind of add all those numbers up, we're a little more than halfway through our roster construction. I think it is fair to say that given a potential slightly delayed start at both the USL League One and USL Championship, I think it is fair to say that the player market is probably moving a little slower than it has in past years. And for that reason, we feel good about where we stand right now and where we are on a roster standpoint. As it relates to our new head coach and technical director, Carl Craig, I'm encouraged by the work he is doing. I'm impressed watching him go through the process of recruiting and signing players. It's a very thorough process. I love how Carl has gone about kind of looking at the whole player and not just the on-the-field player. And once again, I've been impressed by the research and due diligence and kind of digging Carl's doing to make sure that these players are good fits for our club culture and are good fits both in the community and on the field. So while we have some news to report, as I mentioned, Giro and some new signings coming soon, I know we don't have a ton of information, but I can tell you I'm encouraged. I am feeling good about the direction of our roster, where we sit right now. In addition to the players we've signed, we will be doing another invite tryout. We're doing that in Rockford, February 16th and 17th. And that kind of preseason invite tryout has been very important to us. We've signed 6 players out of that in our first 2 years as a club, including Michael Vang, who was a standout for us a year ago. So while that open tryout isn't necessarily a cornerstone or a way that we're going to build those 8 or 9 remaining spots on our roster, we do think that it'll be a good way to maybe pick up a player or two, and it's been successful for us in the past, whether it be Jalen Chrysler, Eric Leonard, Brian Bement. There's a handful of guys that have come through that have been great additions to our team. So the $1 million question as we talk tonight and for the next 3 to 4 months until any potential opening day is, where are we going to play soccer? We would love to play at Breese Stevens Field. All of our time, energy, and focus is getting us back to Breese Stevens Field. As I mentioned earlier, we were last season, and I think continue to be, the only pro soccer market in the United States where the beautiful game is not allowed. We can't even practice here right now in Dane County. We're working with county officials, city officials, public health, Madison, Dane County. We're working diligently to try and figure out a solution to safely play here. We think we have proven that we can safely practice and safely host games with fans, socially distanced and with masks. We think we've proven that. We know we've done that, both in Wauwatosa and beyond. But we're working with local officials to try and get back here to Breese Stevens Field. That's all of our focus. That's what we want. And that's where a lot of our time is being spent right now. With that being said, if opening day rolls around and we're not allowed to play here in Madison again, we do have several backup options. We've got 3 different options ready to go. Hart Park was great to us. The city of Wauwatosa was very welcoming and helpful. And I would still consider that an option. But as we did a recap postseason, we heard a lot from our fans that they wanted a closer option. They wanted something closer to Madison. They wanted something easier to get to and from to attend our actual matches. So We are working on two solutions outside of Dane County that are closer, um, and can share more info with you as we have that down the road. But our focus right now, all the focus is getting back to Breeze, and how that impacts tickets and timeline and everything. Here's kind of what we're sketching out as a timeline. We plan to make if the current schedule stays as is, where we would be the season starting in mid to late April. We would, by the end of March, we would have a decision on where we would open the season, and single game tickets would go on sale at that time. So by the end of March, we plan to have a decision on where we plan to play our first game, and tickets will go on sale at that time. If you had season tickets, so if you had 2020 season tickets and you did not use them, you rolled them to 2021. As soon as we know more, we'll be in touch with you. We'll work with you to relocate and roll over those tickets. If you had 2020 tickets and you used some at Hart Park, we thank you for doing that. Jovan in our team will work with you to use your credits and work on a plan for 2021 once we know where we are playing and how we're playing. And then, for those of you asking, season tickets for 2021 are on sale now, both mini plans and season tickets. So those are kind of my opening comments. Once again, we appreciate everybody's support and all their help and their patience throughout this process. So I'm going to get into some questions that were submitted online over the last couple days. Forgive me if I repeat a few, because there was some multiple questions, but I'm going to get into these questions, and then you can ask questions in my want to thank and recognize Jason Klein from our digital media department here, who's helping me through this. If you have questions, just put them in the comments or chat, and Jason will ask those. So we'll try and keep this moving along. Oh man, the hardest hitting question goes first. Which cow name is your favorite? So a big addition to the Forward Madison family. Literally a big addition, 71 pounds. A big addition to our family last week. Leonella Bessie had her daughter, or I don't know if you call it a daughter, but had her calf, and we're trying to figure out what her name is. I've seen videos. She's fast. She's quick already, quite a bit quicker than Bessie is these days, weighing in at 1,200 pounds. But the new calf was 71 inches tall, 34 inches, or 71 pounds, 34 inches tall. We're trying to figure out what we should name her. Some great suggestions like Mugen Bavino, Mu Salah, Alex Mugen. One I want to bring up, I'm not saying this is my favorite. Roberta Lewinkowski is pretty good. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I do like the submission Rose Beef. And our head coach, technical director, Carl Craig, gets credit for that. Carl Craig, the vegan, and one time I believe vegan co-op co-founder, came up with the name Rose Beef. So I think that one is good. But I think we posted those today. Is that correct? And we'll be getting your feedback. We'll have 3 finalists next week, and we'll name our new baby calf and our newest addition to the Forward Madison family. So I think there's been a lot of questions about are we going to play at Breeze, and when we would play. And once again, our hope is to play at Breeze. That's not our decision. We are pursuing every avenue we can to get back to Breeze, and working closely with the health department, the city, and the county. While we wish we would have clarity on it, we do respect the work that the city and the county and public health, Madison-Dane County, are doing. They have been very responsive, and we talk to them regularly. So our hope is that we can find a way to safely get back and work together on a solution to get back. But we're working through that right now. There's some questions about would we play at a lower capacity. I think if we can play at Breeze, we play at Breeze. And our hope is that we can get our fans in there. Like I said, we've proven that we can do it safely, hosting 8 matches at Hart Park with not a single case of COVID being traced back to what we did at Hart Park. An average of about 600 fans a game, socially distanced with masks. So our hope is that we can have fans at Breeze, but even if we can't, if we can get back to Breeze, I'm pretty confident that that's where the team will play. If we can't play at Breeze, we will find, or we're working to find a good location for a good, safe match day, and potentially somewhere closer than what we had last year. So, and of course, it does have to be outside of of Dane County, given that the restrictions are not just Madison-based, but they are countywide. Some other questions here that were submitted. Ticketing. Question is asking about ticketing options. Once again, we want to thank all those that had 2020 season tickets and have rolled them over to 2021. As soon as we know where we'll play, we'll work with you to get you seated and get you in. Our preference, or I shouldn't say preference, our priority, once we can host fans, our priority is going to go to those that bought season tickets and those that purchased tickets last year. We're gonna get all those folks in before we were to sell any new tickets. So we appreciate what you've done, and we are gonna make sure that you're the first ones in. Another question: what are the factors that lead into planning for ticketing and restrictions for home games? And between what we did at Wauwatosa, myself and Vern Stemmen are also, and Steve Schmidt also own and operate baseball teams in Green Bay and Kenosha, or used to own a baseball team in Green Bay that played last summer, own a team in Kenosha that played last summer. Those two venues were at 25%. Green Bay was up to 1,000 fans, socially distanced and wearing masks. So we have very good protocols. We have a very good plan to socially distance and safely do these matches. So, if and when we're told we can play in a certain venue, we'll have strict protocols, both from a sanitization standpoint. When we were playing at Hart Park, our crew would go through and sanitize the entire stadium, every seat, at every restroom, and every public space prior to opening. And then we would socially distance and require masks throughout. So we think we've got a good plan to do that. And we just need the opportunity to be able to do that. So as far as renewing your season tickets, if you used your season tickets at Hart Park, you can renew those now. If you had tickets for 2020 but have rolled them over, please work with Jovan, and as soon as we have a venue, we will get you seated. All right. I think this is a good question from our friend Liam Smith. With the current restrictions in place for travel, testing, self-monitoring, and vaccination, how likely is it that we'll see something similar to last year in terms of how the league will schedule games out? Will the season start early to allow more time in between games, or limit the teams traveling to opponents? I think the preference, 12 teams now in USL League One with the addition of North Carolina FC, the recent addition, or 12 teams playing in 2021 is what I should say. Obviously, there's the lingering border issue with Toronto FC. I believe they're would like to play, but we have to wait till the season starts to kind of see what the current border status is with those folks. But as far as it comes to the desire for spacing games and travel, I do think that the majority of teams in the league prefer to play kind of one game per week. So a 28 game schedule and a 28-week season is ideal, I think, for most teams. We're a little different here. We have had some success with some midweek games, but I do think that makes sense. With that being said, if the season is going to start a little later than it normally does, the schedule will start seeing some compression. There is not a set end date yet. Last year we played into November, and if we started late, I wouldn't be surprised if that was to happen again. But like I said, next week we expect there to be a Board of Governors meeting and have a little more clarity, but everything is somewhat tentative. As far as travel is concerned, we would love more regional travel, but given the footprint of the league, that just doesn't really make sense right now. And I do expect that we would play as balanced of a schedule as we can play with the 11 other teams. Andrew Schmidt asks, Carl probably has different plans than Daryl, our former head coach and technical director, Daryl Shore. Are we getting new players in the form of signings or loanees from the Fire? While we have a fair amount of uncertainty at our level, there's uncertainty at the MLS level as well as far as timing. We know, or we expect to be getting players from our friends at the Chicago Fire. We've enjoyed our affiliation with them. They were a great partner in our first year working together. We do expect to get players from them, but I think it's a little early for us to know exactly who will be coming to Madison until they actually get into their preseason camp and get a chance to see all their players. It's a little early for us to know, but we do expect to have, I would say, 3+ players regularly from our friends at the Fire. Rob Henriksen asks, and I might edit this briefly here, but now that you sold the Booyah, so our group did sell the Green Bay Booyah, our baseball team in Green Bay. However, we still own the Green Bay Voyagers that do play at Capital Credit Union Park in the village of Ashwaubenon. Rob's question is, now that you've sold the Booyah to Mark Scogan, can you move your Green Bay soccer team, the Voyagers, to the Fox Valley, Appleton, Neenah area, where they'll probably be appreciated more? Go Mingos. Well, Rob, thanks for the note. Thanks for the question. We like the Fox Valley. We would love our friends from the Fox Valley to come to our games at Capital Credit Union Park in Green Bay. As far as our short and long-term plan for the Voyagers, while we did sell the baseball team, we are invested and do plan to carry on with the Voyagers. They will be playing there in 2021. Our hope is that USL League Two, while it didn't play last year, our hope is that it does return. And we do expect to play games starting in May in Green Bay. So that is kind of our short and longer term plan, is to keep that team in Green Bay. But down the road, we could look at maybe a game down in the Appleton area. And as far as our group is concerned, we do want to continue to grow spectator soccer throughout the state of Wisconsin. And we know that Appleton, Neenah, Fox Valley area is a rich area, and we're well aware of that. So thanks for the note, Rob. Josh R. says, I want to establish a proper Flock supporters club here in Eau Claire. How should I go about starting that? Well, Josh, you can give me a call to start or email connor@bigtopse.com. We'll connect you with Andrew Schmidt and our great friends at the Flock, our independent supporters group, and we can connect you from there, and you guys can work out the details. But we appreciate the support, Josh, and would be excited to have a proper supporters group in Eau Claire, and would love to, when we can, come up and make a visit and maybe have a little fun with you guys. So that's what I've got for the questions. Jason, do you have some additional ones?
Yeah, there are some additional questions in the comments. The first one is, how much does the Flamingo behind me cost?
First question is, how much does the Flamingo behind me cost? Well, that's not just a flamingo. It's a flamingo on a pink Christmas tree. So make an offer, and we can go from there. I would need while I am the owner of the club and in charge day to day, I would need to clear anything by our director of merchandise, Chase Egan, because that would impact his budget.
Next question is from Matt, who asks, who can we talk to from the city of Madison to help make the right decision for Forward Madison?
Matt, thank you for your question. Matt's question is, who can we talk to from the city of Madison to help make the right decision for Forward Madison? That's a good question, Matt. We have not kind of started any or encouraged any kind of lobbying effort on our behalf. This is a public health decision. It's not a political decision at this point, is our understanding of it. And so when public health, as far as public health is concerned, I don't think that that lobbying or pressure from our fans factors into the decisions public health makes. So we appreciate that offer. At this point, I don't think it's something that I don't know that there's a direct path. What I would tell you is please continue to monitor the situation. And, if and when we think there's a way that we can work together to potentially influence policy, we'll reach out to our fans. But right now, I don't think we're to that point. But I appreciate the thought.
Jim asks, will the games be streamed next year?
Jim asks, will the games be streamed? Well, yes, we make a massive investment to put all of our games on ESPN Plus. So they will all be on ESPN Plus. And we are working on a local TV deal. Again, we would like your feedback if you have any, but the general feedback we've gotten from our fans is that local TV deal was a positive thing. And so we are working to do that again. We want to thank our friends at TVW for helping us last year. And our hope is that whether it's TVW or another partner, we can get our games, or we can have our games televised for free on local television as well.
Next question, we've got two fans from England who are asking if there's going to be more outreach or more suppliers internationally next year.
Great. So two fans from England want to know if we're going to have more outreach or more suppliers over there. Well, we do have two English suppliers right now. Started with just our kits. I think we are working on socks and other stuff. We also have two suppliers in Japan. As it relates to our outreach or long-term international goals, we would love to eventually do some kind of international tour. I think that's several years down the road. Obviously, pandemic, once we're through the pandemic and everything's safe. As it relates to our efforts beyond the United States, we are working on partnerships in Europe with other clubs that would kind of fit the vision and fit what we're looking to do as a club. And so our hope would be in the next 6 months we would have some news to report on an international partnership, something that I think would strengthen what we do here, but also potentially eventually extend our reach as well. I think maybe a follow-up question on that as it relates to what we're looking for a schedule this year. Current plan: 28 USL matches. 14 of those would be at home wherever we end up playing. There's not much clarity yet as it relates to the U.S. Open Cup. We have registered for that, but there's not much clarity as to when that would start or what teams would participate or if that will happen. I think the committee, the U.S. Open Cup committee, is working through that right now. And then as it relates to exhibitions, we would love to host some exhibitions here, but there's complications as it relates to league protocols, testing, and just making sure everything happens safely. So we just don't know quite enough yet to get into exhibitions, but if there is an opportunity and if the timing works, we will try and add to that 14-game home match schedule if everything works out.
Joe asks, will Coach Craig's band be part of the pregame hype music?
Joe asks, will Coach Craig's band, the Abductors, is that right?
That was one.
Will they be part of the pregame hype music? Yeah, I think you come to our matches, you're going to hear some of Carl Craig's band. I don't think, over the speakers, not live, of course. I don't think we're going to overdo it, but I think mixing it in a little bit with some of the other kind of pregame energy, I think that's absolutely something we'll do. I think it's a fun part of Carl's past, fun part of his personality. With his blessing and finding the right song, I think it is something we'll mix into what we do from an entertainment standpoint.
Janelle asks, is there any news on a replacement for Kuba?
Janelle asks, is there any news on a replacement for Kuba? Janelle, thanks for the question. Kuba Shistostanayak, who has been a huge part of what we've done and kind of led our brand for the first 2 years, transitioned from the club shortly after the new year. Kuba is still a strategic advisor to the club and still a part of what we do and working closely with us. But we are working, through that process to find somebody to lead our marketing efforts. There's been great interest, and we think we've got a lot of great candidates. We're working through that process right now and also trying to determine, the right timing on that hire, given some of the uncertainty as it relates to the 2021 season. But we've got some great candidates, and we're in that process right now, and we're excited to continue to have Kuba be a part of the Forward family.
All right, last question I have. Gina Richardson asks, please tell me that Conor Tobin will be coming back as our captain.
Gina Richardson says, please tell me, this appears to be more of a statement than a question, but please tell me that Conor Tobin will be coming back as our captain. Conor Tobin, a huge part of this club since day one, or since we started, for our team captain for the first 2 years. Gina, our hope is that Conor Tobin will come back, and we're working on that right now. It's a process as we build the roster, but I share as of now, I share your sentiment. Conor's been a big part of this club on and off the field, and we at this point are working to do that. So I appreciate the statement, Gina. Maybe not a question. A few other just kind of questions that have maybe come in here. New merchandise, we'll continue to roll out new merchandise. in time. And I think a big question is what our 2021 kits are going to look like. And so we're knee deep in that process right now. We're working hard to make sure that we incorporate some fan input, but at the same time continue to raise the bar as it relates to our kits. Um, a great story last year was our road kit. While it was somewhat compromised with the shortened season, but our road kit was given to our independent supporters group, the Flock. And the Flock designed that kit, and $5 from every kit went to the Flock. And it was pretty cool to see the names of nearly 1,000 season ticket holders across that kit. Our plans as it relates to 2021 is to continue to give that road kit to the Flock, and I think we're excited to continue to have that partnership and make sure that our supporters are always with us when we're on the road. That leaves us with internally working on our home kit, our alternate kit, and then our goalkeeper kits. And Chase Egan, our director of merchandise, Cassidy Sepnieski, our art director, are hard at work on a lot of great designs and concepts. We're in that kind of conceptual phase right now, but we know that we need to continue to raise the bar from what we've done. We feel the pressure, the way you guys snatched up the drip kits and even the alternate in year one, that being named the best kit of the year by some folks. We're feeling the heat to try and top that. So we're working hard. We're not sleeping much, and we are trying to make sure that we have a great kit and for our guys to wear on the field, and hopefully we have a great result on the field as well. So, Jason, anything we missed?
One more question came in, if you want to take
Yeah, one more question.
Jade asked, what will community involvement look like in 2021?
Jade asks, what will community involvement look like? Jade, I think there's two parts to that question. First of all, the community has made this club. We wanted this from day one to be the community's club, but the community is truly what's made Forward Madison what it is. When you talk community involvement, there's kind of two parts to it. One, there's what we can do to get out in the community, and it's been weird and I guess in some ways painful to not activate in the community like we did in 2019, and for the last 10 months not be able to get out and hold events, whether it's town halls, free clinics for kids, or just anything where we're in the business of gathering people, and we can't do that right now. So that's challenging. So community engagement, if we can do events, you're going to see a flurry of events, both player related, front office related, and you're going to see a very aggressive approach to getting out in the community. If we can't engage in large settings or group settings, or while we can't engage for events or group settings, that doesn't mean that we can't be engaged in the community. The fact that we raised over $40,000 for local causes last year in the middle of a pandemic, when we weren't normally doing games and normally doing what we did, shows that we do have a commitment to the community, and we'll continue to be committed to the community. So you'll continue to see us raise money for local causes. You'll continue to see us do charitable efforts with our kits and some other merchandise pieces. And you also see, I think one thing I'm proud of is that we kind of adapt or see if we see a need in the community, figure out a way to develop a concept that raises money for that need. So we'll continue to try and stay engaged in the community. If there's any specific comments, suggestions, questions, please don't hesitate to send those to us because we're always looking for other ways to engage in the community.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for your time. This is our kind of first statement here in 2021. I think in the next few weeks, we want you to hear from Carl Craig, and then I will continue to do these maybe once a month or as much as they seem needed to update our great fans on where we are as far as playing in 2021. I want to leave you today knowing that we're committed to playing. Just like we were committed to playing in 2020, we are committed to getting Forward Madison on the field in 2021. We know there is going to be some challenges presented, but we are committed to getting out there and playing. And we thank you in advance for your support when we get out there, in play, and we want to just thank you for the amazing support that our fans, corporate partners, and season ticket holders have given us since the start. So have a good evening. Continue to stay safe, and we look forward to talking to you all soon.